Hi, welcome to the first in the series of how we book our Orlando holiday. I'm starting off with flights, which is always the best place to start because once you know your flight dates and times, then you can start booking other things like accommodation and car hire and so forth. So I'll just quickly show you through the spreadsheet that I use when I'm booking my flights, when I'm doing some research. So it can give you a helpful sort of tips on how to sort of minimise your spend on flights. So here I put the MPG of my car. The reason for that will become apparent in a minute. Cost per litre, so the current cost of fuel for my car. Cost that will then automatically calculate a cost per gallon, and then I put the number of travellers in for who are going on this holiday. So what I tend to do is I always research flight prices from Manchester, Heathrow and Gatwick to Orlando, Daytona, Tampa and Miami. I'll put the price in here. I've gone onto Google Maps and I've found the distance from my house to the airport. So that will then allow me to calculate the number of gallons I would use driving there and back. So that's for the return journey. The fuel cost then for the return journey, cost of any airport hotel. These are the prices I've found for airport parking. They sometimes differ slightly depending on how late do you book this sort of thing, but I always try and book as early as possible, and these are sort of the average prices. They might sneak up slightly, but they're usually about right. And then put whether it's a direct flight or not. That will then automatically calculate the cost for me, the total. Dark green background means that's the cheapest, slightly lighter green means it's a bit less expensive, and the plain white background means it's the most expensive. That's the sort of conditional formatting. I've also put some conditional formatting on here so it'll highlight the ones that are a yes rather than a no for direct flights, and the cost difference there will give me the difference in cost between this one and the cheapest. So this is quite a useful tool I always use. I'll always research the price of a single flight for one traveller, and then I'll calculate the cost based on the number up here, because sometimes it will differ if there's only a few of us going or there's more of us going and so forth. So what I always tend to use is a really useful tool called Skyscanner, and it's skyscanner.net is the web address. So you can see I've possibly stuff I've been researching in the past. So if we go from here, so what I'll do, I'll change this to Manchester, and I will do my first one, which is Orlando International. I'd always prefer to fly into Orlando International if possible, but it will depend on the prices. So the other beauty of this is that instead of you just having to constantly go through dates, you can actually put a departure month. You can compare the cheapest month of the year, which if you don't know when to go, but we're looking at possibly going in October this year, so I would pick that one. Obviously one adult, so search flights. What that then will do is it'll show me a really good calendar of the whole month, and it'll give me a rough idea of what flight prices are like for each specific day. I'll go through and find, looking at here, if we go out on the 12th of October, we can get a flight for £160, and coming back 2 weeks later we can get a return for 160, so that's reasonable. So if we hit find flights, that'll then sort of chug away and actually do the proper search for us. We can see here that this cheapest one is got 16 hours in the air on average, which is quite a long time. So once he's got 2 stops, one in Dublin and one in Chicago O'Hare. So quickly, straight away, that I would probably rule that out. But what we can do is, the beauty of this is we can skip it and say, look, I don't want to do 2 stops, and I want to be a maximum flight length of 14 hours. And that will then should give us reasonable flights. 14 hours is usually just one stop anyway, and it means you're not on the ground for more than a couple of hours maximum. So looking at this here now, we can say that the best flight it thinks is 11 hours 45, and that's 567. It's only less than another half an hour to go for this cheapest one, but that only saves you £4, so it'll be a judgment call. I'll probably go with this one. One stop in Heathrow on the way, and then straight from Heathrow. So if I go back up to here and add that in now, so it's 567 is the price, and it's not a direct flight. So that quickly now gives me the cost of the whole journey. So if I switch back now and go from Heathrow, just quickly change to LHR, and it leaves all of the filters in place. You can search again. So quickly we'll go. While this is going, I'll show what I'll do. I'll put my dates in, so the 12th of October till the 26th of October. At least then I know what I'm searching for and when I've been searching on it. So looking at this, the cheapest is coming out at 438, but that's 12.5 hours in the air. There are actually some direct flights for only 495, so that's only roughly a £50 difference, maybe £60 difference, and it saves you 4 hours. So I would probably, in this instance, go with the direct flights. So we're looking at 495, and we're looking at direct of yes. So quickly we can see there that that's coming out £2,100, which is cheaper than the Manchester one, so it would probably be worth the journey. So this still hasn't finished sort of chugging, but that's probably the best we're going to get. So I'm going to just quickly, before that finishes, I'm going to switch to the Gatwick one, and we'll see what it's coming out with from Gatwick. Now we can see here we've got direct with British Airways, but that's £478. But if we're willing to spend another 3 hours on the flight, with a stop in JFK on the way, for an hour and 57 on the way there and 50 minutes on the way back, that looks pretty reasonable to me. We can get that for 374, which seems to be a very good deal. And we quickly see there now the costs coming down to nearer to £1,500. So now we'll go back and try Daytona from Manchester. Now it's not on the normal scheduled route, Daytona from Manchester, so we're probably Daytona Beach there, yeah. So we're probably not going to get very good flight prices for this, or if any at all. Oh, we've got one there via Atlanta, but it's quite a sort of slow one, 13 hours going out, 11 hours coming back. Doesn't get in at decent times, and it's 598, so we'll put that in there. That's not direct again. So we're going from Heathrow to Daytona. Let's try that. So that's sort of chugging away now. We've got a 13-hour then flight with a stop in Atlanta again on the way. Quite poor times, gets us into Daytona there, so probably by the time we get off the plane and get through it won't be far off midnight. But those are the sort of the prices that are coming out. So let's just put that in. It's 531, and that's not a direct flight. And now we'll try Gatwick. This isn't looking very good for the Daytona flight, but I have had some success with this in the past. Sometimes for some reason they just come out with ridiculously cheap flights to Daytona, so it's always worth checking. But at the moment it doesn't look very good. Even looking at this, it doesn't even look as though we've got any one-stop flights. We've got two-stop flights for 663. We probably wouldn't entertain that, so what I'm probably going to do is just put 999 in there, just so we can discount it and say no, it's not a direct flight. And then we'll skip now and go back to Manchester to Tampa. Okay, this isn't looking very good at the moment. We have some one-stop flights for £500, but it looks like the shortest journey is 14.5 hours, so we'll just crank that up just so we can see what it looks like. This one here is one stop in Atlanta on the way there, 3.5 hours in Atlanta on the way there and 2 hours on the way back. Not looking very good, but again I've had some success with this, so that will be coming out £550, so let's just put that in anyway. With this as well, there is a way of just unticking that and just out saying I only want direct flights, which is quite good. So you can sort of be as flexible as you want with this. One of the only downsides really of this Skyscanner is that it only tends to show the prices without luggage. So the vast majority of these now only you only get 10 kilograms of hand luggage, and you don't get any hold luggage unless you pay more again. And a lot of the companies will charge you something like £85 per flight for luggage now to put it in the hold, which can be quite a lot. One of the other downsides is that it tends to be, if you add it for one person, it'll add it for all people on the booking. So if there's 4 of you going, instead of you just paying for one case, you'll have to pay for a case for everybody. I have gotten around this in the past by just booking a flight for my family. It tends to be better on ones where you can pre-book the seats. So I'll pre-book for my wife and my 2 children with no luggage, hold luggage, and then I'll book for myself on my own with hold luggage, and that'll mean I'll only have to pay once. The only problem with that is you can find that if you can't pre-book your seats, you tend to find that they you can't sit with your family then on the way there or the way back, but it will save you a fortune in luggage fees. So it can sometimes be worth it. I'll just carry on through this now and just finish these off. You see, it's a fairly quick process once you get into the swing of it, and you've done all of the relevant, already set all the relevant filters for yourself. Like this one here, there's a one-stop one for 366, but it looks like the journey time is 16 hours, so that's quite a long time. It's got a direct flight coming back, so it could be worth a look, that, but that's 864, which is expensive. Anyway, okay, so 864, and that's not. So now we're going to try the Miami one. Invariably, Miami is the cheapest place to fly into. It tends to be a little bit more further away, obviously, than from Orlando. If you have a quick look on Google Maps, you'll see it's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive. But it can save you hundreds and hundreds of pounds, if not more. I've had an example in the past where it's been £1,600 cheaper to fly to Miami for the 4 of us. £1,600 cheaper to fly from Gatwick to Miami than it has been to fly from Manchester to Orlando. So for a saving of £1,600, it's well worth it. So we can see here, this one, there's one stop in Heathrow on the way, and that's coming out to 511. So we probably would look at that one. So 511 and not direct. We'll quickly switch to Heathrow now. So this should come up with a direct one, seeing as that other one was a single stop in Heathrow on the way. So you can see that's saving a bit there, so it's down to 467. So 467, and that's direct. And the last one we'll try is from Gatwick. So we can see here there's a reasonably cheap one at 333 with a stop in Madrid on the way. 2 hours on the tarmac in Madrid on the way there, 3 hours on the way back. Gets us back into London quite late, and it's a late flight coming back as well, so that's not too bad, that, and the cost of 333. So as we can see there, the cheapest flight by far is this one at £1,500. There's direct flights here which are £500 more expensive into the same place from Heathrow. The next direct flight is £600 more. So we've got a Heathrow to Tampa one here, which isn't direct, for £1,800, which is obviously £400 more. So that'd be, considering we'd be having to drive not much further to go to Heathrow than we are, to go to Gatwick than Heathrow, there'd be a saving of £500 there, which would probably make that well worth it. So I would, in this example, I would probably go with that sort of flight. But again, it's a judgment call, depending on what you prefer. So That's it for me from this one. I'll be doing another one shortly on trying to find the best accommodation. I'll do a further one on tickets and another one on car hire. So look out for them later on. Thanks very much.